miles long. You're wondering where I went wrong. I'm in a love-hate relationship with society. I love people, but I don't find it funny the way we value each other by our money. I wish more people could see and agree. Today's a new opportunity to change our current society. The help you give today can get things on their way. I'm not blaming anyone for my choices. Blaming anyone is pointless. I rejected the corporate plantations here, choosing my child's life over my career. I made my fair share of mistakes. I'm no saint, for heaven's sake. I admit I missed a lot of opportunities due to my fears and insecurities. But my current financial condition is at least in part due to my mission to put people over profits in life, accepting that this will cause me strife. Today's a new opportunity to change our current society. The help you get today can get things on their way. I've spent decades searching for truth, breaking free of lies I believed in my youth. I'm no longer eager to participate in a system designed to discriminate. I guess what I'm trying to communicate is that this doesn't have to be our fate. Our greatest investment is in one another, valuing each person as a sister or brother. Each person is a gold mine of opportunity. If you know how to find it, it's easy to see. We can end a system of monetary slavery. Working together, we can all be free. Today's a new opportunity to change our current society. The help you get today can get things on their way. Let's create a human development investment group. Working together, we can begin to recoup the value of each member of society, so we can all achieve prosperity. Real estate brings profits, true, but there are limits to what it can do. And it leaves people homeless too. Real estate value can only grow when people have money to show. Infinite possibilities exist inside every human, though they hide. It takes a little effort to find, but once you do, it'll blow your mind. This is your opportunity to change our society. The help you give today can get things on their way. rage. Gave wings to a figure outside the cage. A heroine born from all our life. Drawn strength I can't get back. Some days I feel like I can't fly. Other days I feel so fragile. I wish I had some days I can't shine. So I choose someone who could fly. Maybe I break so I can bend. Maybe the cracks let the light in. I'm not always strong, but I am real. And that's the kind of power I feel. Some days I feel like I can't fly. The other days I feel so fragile. I reach for my pencil and turn it around. A legend fools bequeath. Who fears a dragon scale? But soon war's bound and beat. Awakens the legend from sleep. The terror will soon meet. Hunger drives it from the deep. Humanity's evils repaid as fangs and claw rend, and all grow dismayed when the serpent descends to swim to our run. Too terrible to behold. His dark shadow blackens the sun, rendering all earth cold. It's fiery wrath, bringing swift
is if I actually turned on my microphone so you guys could legit hear me. That's the kind of day I'm having right now. Things are going okay, just not quite the way I planned. A little bit sideways, if you will, from where I planned them to be. Yeah, I had my mic turned off. Thanks for noticing, Jeff. Oh, happy Saturday! Harley. Well, we've got Hawkeye. I try to avoid having names that start with the same letter. You know,
You already named him. You said Detective Man.
Detective Man. Well, that's true. All right. That's funny. Ubi goes, yeah, you already named him. You said he was Detective Man, and I suppose that could be the truth. Okay, now we need to get Charlie Manson. Oh, I don't think so. We don't need that. All right. Oh, we got to finish this poll first. In the poll. The question we have now is Hawkeye a total mess in housekeeping or a neat freak? Because you know, housekeeping is part of your personality, so. Time in the Navy can shape you into being a neat freak because you don't have a lot of space, but also having mental health issues can cause you to become a total mess. Yeah. Well, actually, he doesn't have to be a neat freak, but the habits it instills does lean that direction. Let's see. Yeah, so Detective Early Man wasn't sure what he was going to find when he stepped inside the small blue bungalow. The place looked surprisingly tidy for a single man. Everything had a place and seemed to have been given meticulous care. That'll make spotting oddities easier, Man thought. It was harder working a crime scene at a messy house. You had to take more time to study it and go over it before the patterns of what belonged and what didn't started to emerge. Neat freak, but don't look at the litter box. Not Crumples, Priest. Yes, well, even despite the litter box issue with cats, and I'm not going to deny that it is an issue, but despite the litter box issue with a cat, I still prefer cats over dogs, namely because dogs are like permanent small children. They will always need you. They will always be up in your face, eager to see you, eager to have you around, eager to be petted, eager to be played with. Whew, they're exhausting. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Sorry. If it's not quite large enough for you to see, I shall definitely enlarge it, and we'll move it over a little bit. Bloop. It's just a little bit tough. Gets lost. There we go. He followed the trail of debris, from the back door to the living room, taking pictures as he went. A table knocked over, a lamp on its side, the telltale signs of a scuffle of some sort, and that's when his eyes spotted it. A sheet of paper, creased and neatly folded. but with evidence of having been taken out and read many times, yellowing on the edges from where the oil of fingers lingered. The thinness of the paper at the creases indicating age and use. He reached out a gloved hand and picked up the paper, tucking it into a Ziploc baggie and marking it as evidence. He pulled out his camera and took photos. Well, we've already got that. Okay, so. Larger towns might have more people involved in a case like this, but this small town barely had the budget for his salary, let alone another detective. Always happy to oblige, my lovely readers and participants. Victims, you know, guinea pigs. Oh, wait, I wasn't supposed to say that part out loud. It's not the worst idea, Cal. Although video takes a lot. He might have a body cam. We'll just put that up here. Let's see. Let's look at statistics. And let's see, if the incident is a violent abduction, the risk increases significantly over time. Let's see, 76% of adults are found within 24 hours, 86 within 2 days. Stranger abductions, 76% of children are killed within 3 hours. Ouch. Let's look. Yeah. Oh, and we have to remember that All right, so let's go over this. Yeah, he was grateful that crimes like this were not the norm. He could afford to spend more time on this scene. The only downside was that the laboratories might take weeks, even months, to get back to him on their analysis. Did Hawkeye have that long? The probabilities weren't good. Most kidnapping victims not found within the first 72 hours turned up dead if they ever turned up at all. The witness at the scene wasn't even sure how long the man at this house had been gone. She suspected several days before she'd arrived. He wondered about their relationship. She'd said they were just bandmates, but was there more to it? Selfishly, he hoped not. She'd certainly caught his eye. He found himself smiling as he thought about her and shook his head to clear his mind. He didn't need that kind of distraction right now. Besides, it was possible she was guilty or involved in the kidnapping somehow. It wouldn't be the first time in history that someone at the crime scene turned up to be directly involved in the crime. Psychopaths often did that. She didn't seem like a psychopath, he mused. But that was the thing about psychopaths. They usually didn't. Well, she is part of a band, Toxic Chemical Smoothie. I mean, come on. Oh. Yes, exactly. Hey, Timmy! Good to see you, man. All right. You know what I didn't do today that I usually do? Is a total recap of the last chapter before we dive into things. I just sort of went head first in, so I guess we can go back to, we can go back to the last chapter we wrote, go back over that. Well, I guess I can let you guys choose. Do you want to go back over to the last chapter? Let's see. I guess I gotta close that one. There we go. It's a yes or no this time. All right. I certainly don't mind. I like my characters. Well, our characters. You guys have certainly given them great personality. And made a lot of really fun decisions that have taken us in directions I never anticipated. So, chapter 14. No good deed goes unpunished. Hawkeye wasn't sure how long he'd been lying in that van listening to the Russian chatter when something clicked in his brain. He suddenly knew exactly who had him and why. That bastard, he thought. Chief Petty Officer Roland DeVries had been his duty officer during his last tour in the Navy. DeVries was the reason Hawkeye got out of the Navy, in fact. He couldn't stand corruption, and DeVries couldn't stand the fact that Hawkeye exposed his. DeVries lost his commission, but not before finding a way to implicate Hawkeye. Hawkeye had always had a way of irritating other people, so there weren't too many people sorry to see him go when they stripped him of his rank and tossed him out. The dishonorable discharge left him unable to access veterans' benefits of any kind. It was a mark he couldn't erase. But apparently that wasn't enough for DeVries. He wondered what it was the man wanted. Hadn't ruining his life been enough? And why wait so long to come after him? It was hard to sleep in the position he was in, and he did want to track the movements to the greatest degree possible, but he found himself dozing off anyway. He was awakened by the sudden stop of the vehicle. The sound of 6 pairs of feet leaving the vehicle, one female, judging by the swear that slipped her lips as she exited, reached his ears before he felt 2 people grab him and drag him out, one on each side of him. The air was bitter cold and he shivered. He was still in his t-shirt and pajama bottoms, his feet bare. Blindfolded, bound, and gagged, all he could do was wait to find out what they planned to do with him. He had no idea where he was. The air temperature shifted soon, as if he were going underground. The slight echo to their footsteps told him that he most likely was in some kind of indoor space, although the rough feel of the ground on his feet spoke of rocks. A cave? The people escorting him were silent, giving him time to think of a plan. He began to rock back and forth, trying to break the grip of those who had him in his possession. That earned him a sharp thump on the back of the head and a violent headache, but it also loosened his blindfold, granting him a quick glimpse of the cave entrance before they moved deeper into the darkness. He forced his body to go completely limp, hoping they would assume he'd passed out, and then began alternating between flexing the muscles to push the bounds out and relaxing to see if he could create a gap large enough to allow his hands to slip through. At the very least, it gave him something he could do. The air grew thinner and cooler the further they walked. Eventually, they must have reached the spot they were looking for, because they dropped him on the cold, hard ground and then shone a light in his face. "Hawkeye!" DeVries growled as he kicked him before removing his gag. "I finally found you. I guess you thought I'd forgotten all about you." Hawkeye couldn't help himself. He decided to play dumb. "Who are you?" DeVries kicked him again, this time in the gut. Hawkeye coughed hard as he struggled to regain his breath. He thought for sure a rib cracked. "You forgot me already, you piece of sea junk? You ruined my career. Now I'm going to make sure you pay for what you did to me," DeVries said. "Still not ringing a bell," Hawkeye pretended. "Can you jog my memory?" DeVries shone a light in his eyes. "Remember my face? I hope it's the last thing you ever see." Hawkeye shook his head. "Still not clicking for me. Can you tell me who you are?" Hawkeye took great pleasure in watching that puffed-up, pretentious peacock swell up like a pufferfish and grow completely red in the face. He shoved his face in Hawkeye's just exactly as Hawkeye'd hoped he would. "Cheap Petty Officer Roland DeVries, you washed-up flunky!" DeVries got out just before Hawkeye reared back and smashed his head into the man's nose. "Oh, right. Now I remember, the loser with the drug ring I helped bust," Hawkeye said with smug satisfaction as he watched blood dripping down the man's chin. "Must sting a bit to know I took you down so easily. Why'd you wait so long to come after me if you hated me so much?" DeVries shrieked in outrage. "You bastard! I think you broke my nose!" Hawkeye could hear snickering from the men around him, but they didn't interfere. He figured they were probably wishing they had popcorn right about now for this show. DeVries pulled out a handkerchief and held it to his nose. "I found you in a guitar tube stream, moron. Guess you thought it was all over when you left the Navy, but it was never over for me." Hawkeye's eyes widened. "You must have had quite the hard-on for me to be looking for me there that long. Jeesh, man, get over yourself. Get a life. Grow a pair." DeVries started to swing his leg back when the blonde woman in fatigue stepped forward and caught his arm. She said something to him in Russian, shaking her head as she did. DeVries said something back to her, but didn't finish the kick. "Hey, Malachi! Good to see you, man. I understand about cleaning the house." It was clear to Hawkeye who was really in charge of the operation, and given DeVries' apparent insecurities, that gave him an idea. "Aw, did your girlfriend get to you, big man? Letting her run your life, are you?" he taunted. DeVries glared at him, but glanced once at the woman before snarling at Hawkeye. "You know nothing, you idiot." He leaned closer, just out of range of Hawkeye's head, and whispered, "Just wait until she's gotten what she wants out of you. I'm going to enjoy taking you apart one piece at a time." Hawkeye rolled his eyes and spat in DeVries' face. "You know what your problem is, DeVries? You aren't enough of a man to handle your business unless someone's all tied up and unable to fight back. You're a weasel, and you always will be." "Enough," the blonde said, stepping forward. The face was cold as ice and as beautiful, with a thin, hard edge to her chiseled cheekbones. In other circumstances, Hawkeye might have been taken with her. This was not that circumstance. Hawkeye turned his attention her direction. "I'm a little tied up at the moment. You'll have to wait your turn." She crossed her arms in front of her chest. "I do not think so. You will listen, and you will do what I tell you to do." Hawkeye snorted. If you think you can get me to do what you want on command just because you got a nice rack and a pretty face, you're kidding yourself. You should talk to my last couple of girlfriends. She pulled out something from her pocket with a smirk. It was a taser. If you do not do what I say, I will give you a little taste of this, she warned. Back home we call that foreplay, darling, Hawkeye said with a grin. Are you trying to get me to fall in love with you? The blonde's eyes narrowed, and she did tase him. It hurt like hell. But pain was not exactly something Hawkeye was unused to. When he finally caught his breath, he looked at her and said, You should kick that thing up a notch or two. Not enough spice. The blonde shook a finger in front of his face. You think snarky wit is going to do anything? I think not. She tased him a second time, and then a third. His whole body felt numb after the third one. It took him a bit to get his muscles to stop spasming. He lay on the ground, panting as she leaned closer, but still out of range of him. You going to play nice, or do I need to keep going? She asked. He couldn't help himself. His mouth was moving before his brain could stop him. One more for the road? She shook her head and sighed. You men, always so hard-headed. And then she tased him again. He blacked out on that last one. His heart skipped more than a few beats, and he began to sweat. He was pretty sure one last shot of that might be his final. You're gonna kill me if you're not careful, sweetheart. I ain't as young as I used to be, he said as a joke, but he was serious. She nodded. Yes, I think you are right. She put the taser away. Are you ready to talk? Why don't you just skip the fun, kitten, and tell me what you want from me, he said. She shrugged and sat on the ground, Indian style. It is simple. You took something, and we would like it back. Hawkeye stared at her. I've got no clue what you think I took. You removed a map which belongs to us, and we need that map now, she stated, drumming her fingers on the ground. Map? What the heck are you talking about? He asked, looking at DeVries. What did you tell her, you little weasel? He demanded. DeVries crossed his arms in front of his chest. You took the map. I saw you, and you're going to help us get it back. Hawkeye spat on the ground. Like heck I will. First, I got no idea what map you're talking about. Second, I gave everything I had to the U.S. government. You think they're going to just give it back to me? The blonde's lips curled upward in a smile. No, but I do think you are going to help us get it back. She pulled the taser back out and rested it on one knee. Because if you do not help us, you are going to die. Here, alone, where no one will ever find you. Sounds enchanting, he said with sarcasm. She pocketed the taser. Perhaps hunger and a little time to think alone will do for you what the taser could not. We will return in time. How much time? Who knows? She said as she got up and gestured toward her little fan club. We'll be back. Hawkeye'd seen what solitary confinement could do to a person. Rational men reduced to infantile states, weeping and babbling incoherently. It could kill, just as sure as the taser, if prolonged long enough. On the other hand, this might be the exact opportunity he needed to escape, or at least free his hands and feet, if he didn't get lost in whatever cave they presumably had him in first. He tried not to think too hard about that. Now we are on to Chapter 15, The Detective's Investigation. Detective Earl E. Mann wasn't sure what he was going to find when he stepped inside the small blue bungalow. The place looked surprisingly tidy for a single man. Everything had a place and seemed to have been given meticulous care. That'll make spotting oddities easier, Mann thought. It was harder working a crime scene at a messy house. You had to take more time to study it and go over it before the patterns of what belonged and what didn't started to emerge. He followed the trail of debris from the back door to the living room, taking pictures as he went to document the evidence. His body cam recorded a video walkthrough as he went. He spotted a table knocked over, a lamp on its side, the telltale signs of a scuffle of some sort, and that's when his eyes spotted it. A sheet of paper, creased and neatly folded, but with evidence of having been taken out and read many times. yellowing on the edges from where the oil of fingers lingered, the thinness of the paper at the creases indicating age and use. He reached out a gloved hand and picked up the paper, tucking it into a Ziploc baggie and marking it as marketing it? That's hilarious. I guess I had marketing on my mind. Marking it as evidence. Larger towns might have more people involved in a case like this, but this small town barely had the budget for his salary, let alone another detective. He was grateful that crimes like this were not the norm. He could afford to spend more time on this scene. The only downside was that the laboratories might take weeks, even months, to get back to him on their analysis. Did Hawkeye have that long? The probabilities weren't good. Most kidnapping victims not found within the first 72 hours turned up dead, if they ever turned up at all. The witness at the scene wasn't even sure how long the man at this house had been gone. She suspected several days before she arrived. He wondered about their relationship. She'd said they were just bandmates, but was there more to it? Selfishly, he hoped not. She'd certainly caught his eye. He found himself smiling as he thought about her and shook his head to clear his mind. He didn't need that kind of distraction right now. Besides, it was possible she was guilty or involved in the kidnapping somehow. It wouldn't be the first time in history that someone at the crime scene turned up to be directly involved in the crime. Psychopaths often did that. She didn't seem like a psychopath, he mused, but that was the thing about psychopaths. They usually didn't. All right, so the rest of the house seemed to be in good order. Nothing out of place, nothing that caught his attention, and, most importantly, no sign of a female presence. Nothing to indicate a girlfriend or a regular partner of that sort. There we go. Hawkeye could be gay, he supposed, but there didn't seem to be evidence of a second male in the place either. No, let's do this. Oh, you know what? That litter box, you guys were talking about it earlier. That actually could be a clue itself. Yeah, let's see. Because, you know, how full the box is will tell you how long it's been since it was last cleaned. All right, so does the litter box yield the results? Yeah. All right, so we got three options. Yes, yes, and no. Yes, it's got an actual clue in it. Yes, he can tell the poop's age, or no, it's a self-cleaning model. Poor detective, we're gonna have him fishing out poop. Fireball to the rescue! Yeah, I like that idea. I do, I do. Well, remember, Hawkeye didn't really have time to get to the laundry room to do anything with the litter box, but here's what I think could have happened. Fireball could have found something and drug it into the litter box. Maybe she ate something. There were 7 things to do in any small town based on his experience. 5 of them were illegal, 4 if you were under 21, 3 if you were under 18, 2 if you weren't religious. Drug and alcohol abuse were a persistent problem. Let's see. Let's see. We need to stop back up to where Lauren and he last interacted to remember what she was doing with what they'd agreed to do with Fireball. Da, 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 da. No. Yeah, you gotta figure out. Okay, this is the benefit of having the other stuff to remember. Give him a number. Let's see. Okay, Lauren's in the vehicle with the cat, so he's got to walk out and get the cat. Yeah, that's probably true. We'll use the big word, preliminary. Yeah, probably true. Yeah, yeah, but I'm gonna change this around a little bit. There we go. That's what we'll say. We'll just have her tell. Yes, that was a fast hour, wasn't it? Oh my goodness. He placed the evidence in the front passenger seat and then headed back to the police station to fill out his report. He'd have to do a preliminary analysis of the evidence on the equipment there before he could kick it up to the labs in the nearest big city for more detailed findings. Woo! Yes, it will be yowling all the way to his place. He's going to have a severe headache. But first... Oh, wait. You know what? We need him to and then head it out. You know what, though? I wonder if the cat itself wouldn't be considered evidence. Yes, yes, yes. We have gotten it done. Oh, I wouldn't say well, pure insanity, maybe, but hey, Fairbricks, you're coming just in time. I'm going to read to you the chapter we just finished writing together. You're coming in at the end of the stream, but it's all good. I'm glad to see you here. Fairbrooks is an awesome person, does a lot of Lego stuff. Cal, you actually would love his stuff. So, chapter 15, you guys should hook up. Chapter 15, the detective's investigation. Detective Earl E. Mann wasn't sure what he was going to find when he stepped inside the small blue bungalow. The place looked surprisingly tidy for a single man. Everything had a place and seemed to have been given meticulous care. That'll make spotting oddities easier, Mann thought. It was harder working a crime scene at a messy house. You had to take more time to study it and go over it before the patterns of what belonged and what didn't started to emerge. He followed the trail of debris from the back door to the living room, taking pictures as he went to document evidence. His body cam recorded a video walkthrough as he went. He spotted a table knocked over, a lamp on its side, the telltale signs of a scuffle of some sort. That's when his eyes spotted it. A sheet of paper, creased and neatly folded, but with evidence of having been taken out and read many times. Yellowing on the edges from where the oil of fingers lingered, the thinness of the paper at the creases indicating age and use. He reached out a gloved hand and picked up the paper, tucking it into a Ziploc baggie and marking it as evidence. Larger towns might have more people involved in a case like this, but this small town barely had the budget for his salary, let alone another detective. He was grateful that crimes like this were not the norm. He could afford to spend more time on this scene. The only downside was that the laboratories might take weeks, even months, to get back to him on their analysis. Did Hawkeye have that long? No worries, Jeff. That's okay, you're not bailing early. You've already been here for all this. Did Hawkeye have that long? The probabilities weren't good. Most kidnapping victims not found within the first 72 hours turned up dead, if they turned up at all. The witness at the scene wasn't even sure how long the man at this house had been gone. She suspected several days before she'd arrived. He wondered about their relationship. She'd said they were just bandmates, but was there more to it? Selfishly, he hoped not. She had certainly caught his eye. He found himself smiling as he thought about her and shook his head to clear his mind. He didn't need that kind of distraction right now. Besides, it was possible she was guilty or involved in the kidnapping somehow. It wouldn't be the first time in history that someone at the crime scene turned up to be directly involved in the crime. Psychopaths often did that. She didn't seem like a psychopath, he mused, but that was the thing about psychopaths. They usually didn't. The rest of the house seemed to be in good order. Nothing out of place. Nothing that caught his attention. And most importantly, no sign of a female presence. Nothing to indicate a girlfriend or regular partner of that sort. Hawkeye could be gay, he supposed, but there didn't seem to be evidence of a second male in the place either. He was pretty sure the man lived entirely alone, except for the cat. What did she say its name was? Furball? Fizzbutt? Something like that. Speaking of cats, he decided to look for the litter box. She'd mentioned that the cat was an indoor cat. Looking at the box might tell him how long since it had last been cleaned, which could give him a clue as to how long Hawkeye had been missing, especially given how attentive to cleanliness the man seemed to be in every other area of his life. It didn't take him long to find the litter box. His eyes watered as he stepped into the laundry room. Judging by the smell coming from it, he'd say it had been at least a week since its last cleaning. His eyes spotted something blue in the midst of a pile of feces. Taking a closer look, he realized it was a small baggie, and plucked it out to drop it into another Ziploc baggie. "They don't pay me enough to do this job," he muttered under his breath. He wondered if it was related to the case, but couldn't rule it out. Was it a clue as to how Hawkeye ended up being abducted? There were 7 things to do in any small town, based on his experience. 5 of them were legal, 4 if you were under 21, 3 if you were under 18, and 2 if you weren't religious. Drug and alcohol abuse were a persistent problem. Was Hawkeye caught up in the drug trade? He spent another 30 minutes investigating the house before taping off the crime scene and then heading back out to his car. He hoped the woman, he looked at his notebook to read her name, Lauren, was not getting too impatient. "All right, miss, I'm through with my preliminary investigation," he said as he tapped her on her window. I can take the cat from you now, he smiled. She picked up Fireball from her lap and handed her over. Take good care of her, would you? She said. Hawkeye'd be devastated if he lost her. He nodded. I'll do my best. You'll come by with the litter and the cat food later? She laughed. Sure will. We take care of our own in this community. The cat seemed content to curl up against him. It started purring as he walked over to his cruiser and placed her in the back seat, which was separated from the front by a steel grille to ensure that perpetrators couldn't attack the officers transporting them. I don't know how well you handle car rides, little lady, and I can't afford to have you climbing up my back once I get on the road, he explained as if she could understand. She gave a soft, plaintive mew as he shut the door. He felt a little bad for her. Lost her owner and now traded off twice in the space of a single day. At least you're not going to the shelter, he said. He placed the evidence in the front passenger seat and then headed out. He'd need to drop the cat off at his place before heading back to the police station to fill out his report. Then it would be time to do a preliminary analysis of the evidence on the equipment there before he could kick it up to the labs in the nearest big city for more detailed findings. And that, my friends, is what we wrote today. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I appreciate you being with me every Saturday. You guys are awesome. You always make it so fun, and I never know quite where you're taking the story. Next week, we will probably pick it back up with Seymour Duncan and Delilah, find out what's going on there. And then the week after that, I think we'll drop back in to visit Mortus. Actually, that will be the final poll for the day. Whose side of the story do we pick up with next week? We've got 4 options, really. There we go. There's our options, kids. Whose side do we explore next week? Mortus, Seymour, and Delilah, continue with Lauren and the detective, or move on to Hawkeye again? Oh, yep, Seymour and Delilah. That's kind of... Whoop. All right. Seymour and Delilah it will be. We'll pick it back up next week. Thanks for coming and have a great rest of your afternoon. Hoorah! This has been Writing and Chatting.